if you're in a marriage or, in a relationship, then this one might not be for you. But if you're single, this right here is for you. Because I know you've been questioning it. You've been wondering why God hasn't sent someone yet. I know it. You've been scrolling through pictures of couples praying together. You know what I'm saying? They're cooking together. They're traveling together. And deep down, you asking God, like, when is it my turn? But before we go there, let's start with this scripture right here. 1 Corinthians 7 verses 32 through 34. An unmarried man is concerned about the Lord's affairs, how he can please the Lord. But a married man is concerned about the affairs of the world, how he can please his wife. And his interests are divided. That right there is heavy because this verse doesn't sound like a punishment. It doesn't even sound like preparation. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like positioning for clarity. Some of y'all don't realize that being single isn't you being delayed. It's God clearing your signal. It's like, when your phone's trying to connect to Wi-Fi, but it keeps saying, weak connection. Sometimes God disconnects you from every other connection so he can give you the one connection that actually strengthens your signal. And what is that? His voice. You've been trying to, find love in humans when God's trying to teach you how to fall in love with peace. Singleness is not loneliness. It's a mirror season. It's where God holds up that mirror and says, let's really look at you for a second. Not the version that you post, not the one you perform as, the one that, cries when it's quiet, the one that settles when they're scared, the one that still feels unworthy, even though they say, I'm healing. When you're single, God gives you space to face your real self, not your relationship self. Too many people get out in relationships and turn into representatives. You know what I mean? They show up as, what they think someone will love instead of who they truly are. Maybe God kept you single because he didn't want your next relationship to be, a performance. Maybe he wants you to walk into it as your whole self this time, not your edited self. Because when you truly healed in your singleness, you don't beg for attention. You recognize presence. You don't chase validation. You embody confidence. You don't overgive, you overflow. And some of us didn't need another person. We needed a pause. Because every time God tried to slow you down, you felt the silence with somebody. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You got bored and confused silence for loneliness. Y'all know. But silence is where you hear God. And that's why he kept you single. You know what I'm saying? Because he needed you to be uncomfortable enough to finally actually listen and hear him. Relationships reveal what you ignored in your singleness. If you're insecure, it'll show. If you're needy, it'll show. If you're still haunted by old wounds, it will show. God's not keeping you single because he's hiding you from love, dog. He's teaching you to love so deeply that you'll never confuse attachment for connection again. He's showing you that your heart, it doesn't need a home in somebody else. It needs roots in him first. Some of us have been loving people who only loved our potential. We kept hoping they'll see our soul, you know what I'm saying? But they only saw our usefulness. That's why God had to break your cycle of attraction. Because, let's be honest, your type was trauma. You kept being drawn to people who reflected your pain, not your peace. And God said, if I don't pull you out of that pattern, you're going to mistake struggle for loyalty again. So now you know he's detoxing your desires. That's what singleness really is. It's a detox from dysfunction. It's purification. God's scrubbing off everything that made you settle. He's wiping away every fake version of love that made you think bare minimum was affection. And yes, sometimes God keeps you single because he's protecting your purpose. You got, too much calling to be caught up in the wrong covenant. Some people are just beautiful distractions. They look like they peace, but they pull you out of alignment. They feel like comfort, but they keep you stuck in complacency. So, God had to separate you, not to hurt you, but to make sure that your soul didn't sign a contract that your destiny couldn't afford. Being single gives you something people rarely talk about. And what is that? That's freedom of focus. You can move how you need to move, build what you need to build, pray without interruptions. You know what I'm saying? Travel without permission, heal without performance, chase purpose without guilt. Hear God clearly, because there's no other voice competing for your attention now. That's what singleness does. But God will test how you treat your singleness. Don't get it twisted, because if you treat it like a prison, you'll resent it. But if you treat it like a platform, you'll rise from it. This season isn't for scrolling, waiting, and wishing. It's for sharpening. You got to ask yourself, if God brought someone into my life tomorrow, would they meet a whole person or a half-healed version still blaming their ex? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. Because the truth is God won't bring someone to complete you. He'll bring someone who complements what you've already completed within yourself. You got to remember that. So what should we do while we're single? Build yourself. Get your finances right. Get your faith right. Get your peace right. Guard your energy. Every DM ain't an opportunity. Some are distractions. You got to learn yourself. Discover what triggers you, what inspires you, what drains you. Love yourself for real, not the social media kind, the deep, I forgive myself kind. You know what I'm saying? Thank God for now, because one day you're going to look back and realize this quiet season was the foundation for everything that you prayed for. Don't rush into love just because you're tired of waiting. Rushing always will lead to regret. Sometimes, the best love story is the one that starts late, because it started healed. God's not in a hurry. He's intentional. He's not trying to, meet your timeline. He's trying to secure your peace. So if you're single right now, stop saying, nobody wants me. Start saying, God's still working on me. You got to stop saying, I'm tired of being alone, and start saying, I'm grateful I'm not distracted. Stop saying, I'm waiting on love, and start saying, I'm walking in purpose. Because when you finally become whole in your singleness, you won't chase love. You'll attract peace. That's what you'll attract. And I don't know, maybe God kept you single because he didn't want you to lose yourself again. You ever thought about that? Maybe he's teaching you how to be the kind of person that love doesn't have to rescue. Love can simply rest with. Because healed people don't really need fixing. They need peace. So don't waste this season wishing for what's next. You know what I'm saying? Master what's now. Because when you fall in love with peace, you'll never again fall for confusion. If you're in a single season, embrace it. Don't numb it. Don't rush it. Don't compare it. Build in it. Because when God finally says it's time, you'll realize why he kept you by yourself for so doggone long. Not to break you, but to build you into someone who will never settle again. And if you are having a hard time with letting go of the past, letting go of that ex, while you're in this single season, you know what I'm saying? Letting go of those toxic relationships. You're looking back like Lot's wife. If you're doing stuff like that,